play crying game? I didn't know that when I set out to make this album that it would entail an emotional roller coaster in my own real life. I don't think I set out to make a more emotional album. It's just that I write my life.
Nicki Minaj's debut studio album, Pink Friday, was the perfect introduction to the unique brand of star that is Nicki Minaj. It was a unique blend of pop and hip-hop that gave it appeal and draw from both pop fans as well as rap fans. Nicki occupied a very unique space within music upon her introduction, one that allowed her to succeed and excel in two communities at once. At the same time, Pink Friday was a bold first impression from a girl who needed to prove herself against a rap world filled with men and a pop world that was already very crowded. Not only did Nicki set herself apart from her peers on both sides, she undoubtedly outdid them. With her sophomore album, Roman Reloaded, Nicki leaned into the dichotomy of her artistry, splitting the album down the middle into a pop half and a rap half. Although this era of her career is remembered mostly for its pop offerings, for her third studio album, Nicki would make a deliberate effort to return to her rap roots. I've mentioned it before, but because of her success in the pop lane, there was a considerable number of people who unrealistically questioned Nicki's validity as a rapper. Often with artists like Nicki who have very animated personas, the focus is drawn away from their music in favor of the artist's antics instead. With her third studio album, Nicki would rid herself of the wigs, the flair, the alter egos, and everything else that defined her first two albums. The world would get a proper reintroduction to the artist that was Nicki Minaj. That album was The Pinkprint. The Pinkprint is undoubtedly Nicki Minaj's most personal, dark, and mature record to date. Pink Friday concerned itself with establishing just who Nicki Minaj is, while Roman Reloaded was very much about having fun, as evident in its dance pop. But with The Pinkprint, Nicki made a deliberate attempt to go back to her rap roots, delivering a far more serious and introspective vibe. There's a considerable amount of vulnerability and emotion on The Pinkprint, surprising because for as great as her first two albums were, we didn't really get a clear look at Nicki Minaj as a person beyond what she allowed us to see. We knew Nicki Minaj the rapper, Nicki Minaj the pop star, Nicki Minaj the celebrity, and all the alter egos and personas that came along with it. The Pinkprint feels like the first time the world genuinely got a peek into the mind of Onika Tanya Mirage. Nicki expressed that on the Pinkprint she finally felt comfortable expressing things in her music that she hadn't before. She described the record as personal and an emotional roller coaster at times. A lot had occurred in Nicki's personal life during the years leading up to the Pinkprint, and she reflected on it openly in her music. The Pinkprint is very autobiographical. There's nothing flashy about it. It's very raw. It was very much a soft reset to Nicki's career. She did away with the avant-garde fashion and creative wigs that became synonymous with her brand earlier in her career and adopted a far more understated and reserved image for the Pinkprint era. A clear indication that playtime was over, no pun intended. You can either continue doing costumes or you could just say, hey, guess what? This will shock them even more. Doing nothing will shock them even more. Even the album's cover is representative of this new turn in Nicki's career. Very simple, yet immediately recognizable, iconic, and unlike anything else. It's honestly one of my favorite album covers of all time. Nicki's nowhere to be seen on here unlike her previous album covers. It reminds me of the cover of a diary. You can just tell from looking at it that things are serious this time. On Valentine's Day 2014, Nicki would drop the song Lookin. Though not included on the Pinkprint, instead being on the Young Money compilation album Rise of an Empire, this song was very much the first glimpse at the new Nicki Minaj. It undoubtedly set the tone of the Pinkprint era, and I consider it to be the soft launch of the era. The song is pure rap, no signs of pop Nicki to be seen anywhere on here. Nicki delivers her bars in the most vicious manner possible, with no catchy hook anywhere to be seen, just verse after verse. The song's music video, shot in black and white, features Nicki in a simple black dress, no wig, no dancing, just her in an empty landscape, delivering her bars. It's almost unbelievable that this was the same woman who just 2 years ago gave us Starships. Again, that's what we call range, ladies and gentlemen. In April 2014, Nicki would drop chi-raq with G Herbo, who went by Lil Herb at the time, another purely rap track that further set the tone of what the Pinkprint would come to be. Although it wasn't included on the album either, I still very much consider it to be a part of the era. I just loved how it had that underground vibe, like something that belonged on a mixtape. Pills and Potions signaled the proper start of the Pinkprint era, being released as a lead single on May 21st, 2014. What that felt like to me was forgiveness, and just understanding that everybody gets mad, but when you love somebody, I feel like you'll always love them. I don't feel like there's ever been somebody that I love that I no longer love. I just may not be able to live with you or have you in my life, and that's really what the song is about. A soulful and honest pop and hip-hop ballad, the song is both vulnerable but strong at the same time. It bears some of Nicki's deepest thoughts, but at the same time she reaffirms her status and that she's above her haters. Its title references unhealthy coping mechanisms, undoubtedly something Nicki may have turned to deal with the stress of personal strife, in addition to being one of the biggest artists in the world. It was an interesting choice as a lead, as it wasn't a huge commercial hit, peaking at number 24, but I honestly don't think it needed to be. That wasn't its purpose. Pills and Potions is the perfect introduction to what Nicki had in store with the Pinkprint. It perfectly sets the tone of the era and is one of Nicki's most underrated singles. Anaconda was released as a second single from the Pinkprint on August 4, 2014, and is the super bass and starships of the era, being by far the biggest hit from the album. Featuring a prominent sample of the 1992 song Baby Got Back by Sir Mix-a-Lot, the song peaked at number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100, being Nicki's highest charting single at the time. The song also broke the top 10 in 5 other countries. The song was allegedly originally intended for Missy Elliott, but ultimately went to Nicki. The scandalous single cover went viral, spawning several memes. Following the music video's release, it broke the 24-hour streaming record on Vivo by accumulating 19.6 million views in its first day of release. In 2021, Anaconda became the first music video for a solo female rap song to hit 1 billion views. In the midst of Anaconda's success, Only featuring Drake, Lil Wayne, and Chris Brown was released as the third official single from the Pinkprint on October 28, 2014. I remember this song being a big deal to me personally just because it was the first time, not including Bedrock, that the Young Money Big Three were all on a song together, if I recall correctly. The Grammy-nominated song peaked at number 12 on the Hot 100. Bed of Lies featuring Skylar Grey followed on November 16, 2014 as the fourth official single. Nicki notably debuted the song live at the 2014 MTV Europe Music Awards, which she hosted that year. Nicki would team up with Drake and Lil Wayne yet again on the fifth single from the Pinkprint, Truffle Butter, released on January 23, 2015. The Night Is Still Young was released as the sixth single on April 28, 2015 and is the most pop-oriented track on the album. The single release of The Night Is Still Young actually conflicted with Truffle Butter, as the former was meant to be the fifth single from the album but was pushed back. Afterwards, there was plans to shoot a video for Truffle Butter, but it was scrapped in favor of shooting a video for The Night Is Still Young because her label anticipated the song being a bigger hit due to it being a pop song. Ironically though, Truffle Butter ended up doing better than The Night Is Still Young. The seventh and final single, Trini Dem Girls, was released on September 1st, 2015. Nicki performed it alongside The Night Is Still Young as the opener for the 2015 MTV Video Music Awards, and was notably joined on stage by Taylor Swift during that same performance, performing Taylor's song Bad Blood.
I was in this long 11-year relationship and was proposed to. I always told him, you know what? Let's hold off. No one could prepare for this business. And until you are in it, you really can't wrap your brain around it. You feel like this business changed people that I really loved. And it's like scary. It's scary. It's really scary. They start worshiping material things and forgetting about just good old-fashioned love and trust and stuff like that. I guess that's why, a lot of the songs are way more introspective, because I'm at a place now where I am stepping out of myself and looking at myself more. Brokenness leads to such beautiful art sometimes, and I think I was really, really broken, writing this. The brokenness is okay as long as it can inspire people. I didn't want to make an album that was just being fake happy. I wanted to deal with it and leave it and then move on and be real happy.
In addition to its singles, the Pinkprint holds some of Nicki's best and most underrated works in my opinion. Undoubtedly her most personal record to date, the album starts out with 3 songs I refer to as the Pinkprint trio because of their aesthetic similarities to one another. All Things Go, I Lied, and The Crying Game form an emotional narrative arc that really sets the tone of the album from the jump. I was used to Nicki's albums coming out of the gate swinging, but honestly it makes so much sense that this album would open like this. All Things Go starts things off on a reflective note, almost as if Nicki is trying to catch us up on everything that she's been through since we last saw her in the Roman Reloaded era. I Lied and The Crying Game go hand in hand as far as subject matter goes, with the first one talking about Nicki denying her love for another in order to protect her own heart, while The Crying Game is a highlight in her entire discography that details the ugliest parts of a strained relationship. Jessie Ware's hook on this song in particular is phenomenal, and I highly encourage you to check out some of her songs if you haven't. She has a phenomenal voice. A standout theme on the Pinkprint is emotional distress and heartache, reflected in a big chunk of the album's songs like I Lied, The Crying Game, Pills and Potions, Bed of Lies, and Grand Piano. It's impossible to really look at this album and not acknowledge the sadness that lies within it, but looking at the context of Nicki's life during its release, it makes sense. Excluding Pills and Potions and Anaconda, the singles run of the Pinkprint honestly falls very flat when you compare it to what the album had to offer. The Ariana Grande assisted track Get On Your Knees was tailor-made to be a big hit, it seems like, and I remember being almost certain that this one would be a single, especially considering the massive success of Bang Bang that same year, as well as being one of Nicki and Ariana's best collabs. I consider this one to be a real hit that got away. The aforementioned The Crying Game could have easily been released instead of Bed of Lies, as it's a far stronger song to me. Want Some More, Favorite, and By a Heart could have been moderately successful too, honestly. But by far the biggest question mark in the entirety of the Pinkprint era was the lack of an official single release for Feeling Myself. The song did get a music video and even got an exclusive performance, but for the life of me, I will never understand how this song never got a proper push as a proper single. Prior to making this video, I could have sworn it was at least released as a promotional single, but it didn't even receive that. And to add insult to injury, Feeling Myself spent a solid 20 weeks on the Billboard Hot 100, making it the longest charting non-single by a female rapper in history. Considered by many to be Nicki's best work, the Pinkprint is ranked as one of the greatest albums of the 2010s decade and one of the greatest records in modern hip-hop. The conclusion of a Pitchfork review sums up the Pinkprint in the best way, saying, "The album presented Minaj in her most unexpected role yet, a human being." And that's truly the selling point of this album and what this era represents. It humanized Nicki Minaj. It reminded the world that this is very much a human being and not one of the many characters that she presented to the world during her last 2 eras. I would argue that one of the greatest things that a star can do is humanize themselves, allowing the world inside of their circle for a bit. There's power in that, and that power is what elevated the Pinkprint and by extension Nicki's career to another level. Ignoring the fact that we have a true Pink Friday 2 on the way, the Pinkprint feels like a natural successor and sequel to Nicki's 2010 album in the sense that it feels like a natural progression and evolution of what she gave us on her debut album. And that's no disrespect to Roman Reloaded, but there was a deliberate lack of seriousness on that album. That album was concerned with having fun first and foremost, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. But regardless, Pink Friday, Roman Reloaded, and the Pinkprint for me really capture the true essence of Nicki Minaj. A true crossover talent with a lethal pen to match. We knew Nicki Minaj the rapper, Nicki Minaj the celebrity, Nicki Minaj the pop star. Oof, my phone just... Oh. We knew... where'd I leave off?